Hi, Mr. Clarke. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
When you announced your candidacy to be leader of the Saskatchewan Party, you came out in a bold way saying you would be the NDP's worst nightmare. What do you mean by that?
I think I was correct on that phrase. I'd be their worst nightmare. Being First Nations, I can talk about the issues that the NDP always portray themselves as they know best attitude. It's a paternalistic approach. But you see what the NDP's been doing. They're going up in the polls just here in Saskatchewan. But you also see what they're doing in British Columbia, where they actually stole the provincial legislature from the Liberals. But you're also seeing a wide range happening in Alberta. I don't think they actually know the issues that are facing Saskatchewan residents. But to have that paternalistic approach that they know best attitude, I think that's wrong. And I can actually tackle some of the more sensitive issues one-on-one with their leader in a full debate.
What sets you apart from the other candidates in this particular leadership race?
Well, I come from a law enforcement background, but I also have legislative abilities and capabilities. I haven't been a member of parliament. But I understand the grassroots, right from policing, but I also have a sense of compassion too, where you had to deal with the most sensitive issues in the policing field. I don't like the old guard. I don't like about the corruptness that's taken place and the scandals, especially with land issues that are taking place with right now that's under investigation by the RCMP.
Let's talk about the GTH. What stands out to you as being the most alarming about how that's transpired?
Well, you're seeing some individuals out there, they're the allegations, of course, until the RCMP actually finishes their investigation. But some of the trust accounts or money being given, that's wrong. There should be nothing. We should be fully transparent and accountable. And seeing that take place, if there is an allegation, yeah, step aside, resign, and move on. The party doesn't want that. We don't need that.
The Premier has said that he's saying there is no wrongdoing, that this isn't a scandal. How do you see it as a scandal? Well,
the investigation is taking place right now by the RCMP. For me to make a comment saying, yes, there is some wrongdoing, or there is no wrongdoing, but what we should do after the investigation is done is sit down and do an inquiry. Then we can actually hear actual testimony. Maybe the inquiry might reveal some other information or more details, which the RCMP may have overlooked.
On abortion, you are anti-abortion. You've made that clear. But you've also said that you wouldn't rule out looking at addressing reproductive rights in Saskatchewan if that was something that would come up, and you wouldn't be outside of the opportunity to use the notwithstanding clause. Why is that something you would do when you know the Constitution is set and that the Supreme Court has ruled it's unconstitutional to weigh in on this way?
Well, my personal beliefs is my personal beliefs. I'm not going to try to dictate it on anybody else.
But what about the notwithstanding clause?
Let me finish for a minute, please. I was adopted. I'm First Nations. And I look at that very sensitively. I wouldn't be here actually to talk about this very issue today. To talk about legislating, I would hope that individuals, and it's about democracy, if the legislation is going to come forward, it is going to be about a free vote. And we'll have to take that forward. But I'm not going to legislate anything forward on the abortion issue.
When it comes to northern suicides, there's a problem. This is a crisis in Saskatchewan's north. How would you address that if you were leader of the Saskatchewan Party and our province's premier?
It's all about resources and giving the youth. I've been to so many suicides in my career, and it's not pleasant. The family's devastated. There's warning signs out there. These suicide packs, there's suicide intervention groups, is just given the capacity to do their job, but also to educate that it's not about the last resort of looking at suicide. You got to give these people some hope. You got to give them the economic opportunities, the pride of actually graduating from school. You have to give those individuals the sense of pride of going out and getting their first job. It's about providing economic opportunities and actually trying to diversify jobs into the north. It's not just only the north. It's rampant throughout Saskatchewan, in the city centers, in the rural areas. You got Aboriginal, non-Aboriginals. Hey, you have to be educated that it's not an option. It's not a last resort, because suicide, that's the final solution, and it's not right.
You announced today the idea that you would scrap the proposed wage freeze in Saskatchewan's public sector. How would you pay for that?
Well, you have to diversify, first of all, the industries. Like, there's so many business partners out there. For once, One option I just mentioned earlier is the forest industry. You have trees that are being cut down in northern Saskatchewan. 35% of those trees aren't being utilized. What can you do to diversify the industry and create more revenue streams? Is look at business opportunities. One is you could start a furniture production plant in the north and then ship it overseas as Aboriginally made. That could create employment. But also too, you have an industry of fence posts in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan imports almost 50%. You see that all through the prairies. All you see in fields are fence posts. So why are we importing 50% of our fence posts into Saskatchewan when we can do it locally? That's jobs lost. That could be a $100 million industry right there itself. You could do it right on site. That will also create employment opportunities. Now it's beneficial. You're also collecting the taxes off the revenue or off the individuals that are working.
Thanks for your time today.
Thanks very much for having me.